versus the Charlestown Chiefs. Brought to you by Sheehan's Rustproofing. The Chiefs have just come out on the ice for a warm-up period. They're about to try for their 5th consecutive win. They're getting a good round of applause from their own booster club, who have traveled all the way from Charlestown to be here in Peterborough tonight.
Are you a first responder, a veteran, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a Let's Go Blues radio listener? Of course you are. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call real estate superstar Mike Burgoyne today at 314-753-4060 or email him at mike@strikewithmike.com to earn special rates today.
Cut out the coffee, cut out those energy drinks that make you crash, and put yourself in a position to succeed with an energy boost from RockinThatIDLife.com. You'll be energized, focused, and you'll even experience an elevated mood for up to 6 hours. Check out RockinThatIDLife.com to learn more.
A team that was in last place on January 3rd. The players on the bench are bouncing up. History will be made tonight in Boston.
You're watching Let's Go Blues Radio, the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast with your hosts Kurt Price, Bill Day, and what appears to be a Peter Dinklage cosplay. So just sit back, grab a beer, and enjoy the best blues hockey talk on YouTube.
Welcome to episode 25 of season 14. This is episode number 506 all time of the often imitated, never duplicated badges. We don't need no stinking badges. We're the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Check out the Let's Go Blues Minute wherever you get podcasts. It provides you with a daily look into the St. Louis Blues in a quick hit fashion. Smash that subscribe button. It's Wednesday, March 19th, and we're streaming live to the masses. Make sure to follow us on socials at LGB Radio and like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube and Facebook. I'm your host, Jeff Ponder. I'm joined by Bill Day. Kurt Price is facing allegations for some things found on his laptop. The agenda for tonight includes the Blues absolutely killing it lately with wins against the Ducks, Predators, and Wild, and everything surrounding those wins. All that and more on this pontificating episode of Let's Go Blues Radio. Bill, before we get into it, I was asked this week, how do I know when you guys go live? First of all, typically we're on Wednesdays. I would just say that. Second of all, if you subscribe to us on YouTube, you will actually get an alert that we are going live. And if we post and a lot of times, well, actually, we always post something that says like a new show. And it's like, it'll say like on your YouTube app or whatever, it'll say, episode premiering Wednesday, March 19th, 9:30 p.m. That's the best way, but we do post on social media when we can. And I would just say again, honestly, subscribing on YouTube is the way to do it. And if you want to subscribe on Facebook as well, that'll alert you when we have any new posts out, which we don't post all the time, so you don't need to worry about it. But there you go. There's the answer. Bill, how are you, sir?
Well, I was just going to add that if you live close enough to me, about 15 minutes before we go live, I go out into my backyard and scream, "Fuck it, we're doing it live."
Yeah.
So if you live close enough to me, you'll hear that and you'll know it's time. It's like it's our listener special, but only for listeners that live very close to me.
That is kind of funny you say that. Back in the day when I lived in Kirkwood, I did have a gentleman when I was out at a store once, very close. It was what was the name of that little market right there by the train tracks? I can't remember the name of it.
Dr. John's?
Road. Not Dr. John's. It was a World Foods type place, just way cheaper. So I was there, And I actually had a guy come up and ask if I was, Jeff Ponder of Let's Go Blues Radio. And they said, "Are you the Let's Go Blues guy?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I think I know what you mean. Yes, that's me." And we ended up talking for a little bit. And he's like, "So you live around here?" I was like, "Actually, I can walk here from here." And he's like, "Oh, me too." And I'm like, "You listen closely enough on Wednesday nights, you can probably hear me in my back room because I'm really loud when I do the show." So he's like, "Yeah, I'll start listening." So I don't know if you ever heard me, but hopefully I wasn't that loud.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
We got a couple good comments already rolling in. This is already in contention for comment of the show. Winning Unlimited says the Blues are 6-2-1 since the John Cena heel turn. Yes, big news in the wrestling world. That was I saw it compared to when Hulk Hogan did his heel turn. So big deal. Bill, do you know anything about what happened with John Cena?
No, other than the words that you just spoke, and I figure it's fairly self-explanatory.
Yes, yeah,
Is he gonna?
he's now a bad guy.
So is he gonna start selling Teslas instead of Hondas?
Oh, maybe. We'll see. Stay tuned. And we got Ken Morris. Any truth to Kurt and Hunter Biden using the same laptop? I hope not. Because I don't want Trump to take away Kurt Price's security detail. That would be terrible. Hopefully not. Let's see. Filing that in the increasingly large vault titled Wrestling Nonsense. That comes from Trees. So I think Tree shares our view on wrestling. I'll admit I like John Cena as a person. And I like
Hilarious
almost
in most movies
all
that he's
the
in.
yeah, almost all the wrestlers that I've seen, like in comedies or any types of movies, are usually like, from what I can tell, like pretty funny, pretty good people. So I like pretty much all the wrestlers. It's just I am not a wrestling fan. I can't sit and watch that. It's just not.
Yeah. We've covered it ad nauseum, like in the Venn diagram of sports. Like we are not the intersection of hockey and wrestling.
No,
There are many podcasts that are, but
Yep.
it is not us.
Trees adds I like professional wrestling, but a lot of it is nonsense. Yeah, it's my wife just watched this documentary on oh my goodness, I almost said Ed McMahon. The other McMahon, Vince McMahon. And
Mr. Secretary of Education.
Yes. And I watched a little bit of it with her when she had it on, and just I don't know. Yes, when I watched it as a kid, there was definitely this kind of stuff, but like the type of drama, it's literally a male soap opera. That's all it is to me. And I'm like, I hate soap operas. So I'm sorry, I just can't get into this stuff. Like he's like he had a storyline where like he was sleeping with his like physical therapist behind his wife's back, and his wife's getting drugged where she's in a wheelchair and like she can't function. And then like the big like moment was when like she stands up in her wheelchair and like hits him in the back with a chair, which by the way, that's our new Secretary of Education, which is great. But yeah. I'm just like, just not for me. Again, just good for you if you like it. I'm glad it seems like a lot of people get a lot of entertainment out of it. It's just not for me.
Yeah. And not to let this go completely off the rails with the political talk, but Ken asks, there are rumors that Trump's tariff war with Canada may affect the NHL. Anyone hear anything? Rick Westhead tweeted or skeeted or yeeted or whatever they're called on Blue Sky, because that's the only place I see them, that there is concern that the tariff trade war will cause the Canadian dollar to go to 60 cents on the American dollar, and that could bankrupt several Canadian teams.
Yeah,
or not necessarily bankrupt, but have a very, very significant negative impact on them. So
yeah, let's just say Winnipeg and Ottawa need to have deep playoff runs because they might be out on some money coming up in the next couple of years.
Yeah. And I wonder if I haven't, I worked literally, we're late because I worked late tonight. I have not kept up with much of the news today. I saw a couple things that, the GM meetings are going on, and, the All-Star game is hopefully toast. But I don't know if Bettman's been asked to comment on any impact that, because everybody's been so super excited about, oh, the cap's going up, we're going to see a $20 million NHL contract. And right, can you imagine that if the Oilers were to sign 2 players to $20 million contracts, and then the Canadian dollar goes to 50 cents? Because they pay them in American, right? And their revenue is in Canadian dollars. It's just such a hard draw.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and you got to figure the NBA and MLB are concerned here too. So I think you would have a lot of the bigger sports in North America
MLS,
weighing in on this too. Yeah, MLS too. Yeah, because there's the Blue Jays, the Raptors, I think are still there. I don't follow the NBA, but so yeah, there's going to be a lot of, like, I'm sure Bettman and the other GMs or the other commissioners are going to be talking and seeing how this is going to affect them, what they can do to try and stop it from hurting the sport. So we'll see. Well, we got a couple of announcements to start the show. I'm trying to decide the order I want to do these 2 announcements because they are very polar opposite.
Good news, bad news.
Yeah.
Right? Let's do the bad news first.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do that. So, unfortunately, large contingent of hockey, of St. Louis hockey folks know this name. The commissioner of the St. Louis Hockey North America section, which is where, well, Bill too, but I captain a team, the St. Louis Forest. Bill is our backup goalie. A couple of our listeners I know play in H&A. I've been contacted by some of them who watch or listen to the show. We had a loss in the family this week. Steven Spiros, who was the commissioner of the league. He's been an admin for the league for 25 years, which is insane. The man was in his early 70s, unfortunately suffered a couple heart attacks on the ice over his tenure. And unfortunately, he had his third and did pass away this past week. There's a lot of like St. Louis hockey, I don't want to say legends, but people very close to the game that, we hear about in passing. And I think Spiros fits in there. He's one of those guys that has just been around the game for so long. He's made so many connections, and just unfortunate that we had to lose him at an early age. So RIP to Steven Spiros, commissioner of St. Louis H&A. Bill, I don't think you ever met him, but obviously he was our governing body. He was a very fun guy. Loved what he did. He was retired, so he focused a lot of his energy on H&A, at least when I started to come around, and just did a great job. So, but I don't know if you saw it. I think you might have. We did have our first game, well, since his passing last night, was actually against his former team, because he also played in the league. He played for the Pirates. And so the Pirates contacted me, obviously, after this happened, because it did happen in their game last week, if they could have a moment of silence before. And I said, of course. So we did have a little bit of a tribute. His family actually showed up, which was really cool. His grandson, his youngest brother. There were some women in the crowd I didn't meet, but I know they were all associated with Steven. I actually have a clip here. So for you on the podcast, I apologize that this is going to sound like white noise here, but I wanted to share it. It's a video I made of the tribute we had yesterday. So for those of you watching, here is a clip of how we honored H&A Commissioner Steven Spiros. So I just wanted to share that because obviously Spiros had a impact on my life and so many of my teammates' lives. Again, just a very passionate hockey guy. For those of you who were not able to watch the clip, or maybe those of you did who don't really know what happened, all that it was before the game. I delivered my team, the Force. We put together some money. We just got a case of beer for the other team. Delivered it to them before the game on the ice, and then we had a puck drop at center ice, and we did a moment of silence directly after for 30 seconds. The fun thing that I liked that they did was Mark Williams, their captain, actually won the faceoff back to the right on purpose because that's where Spiros would have been. Is the right? He was the right defenseman, so he won it back there, and then one of the defensemen just kind of skated the puck back, and then everybody took a knee on the ice and on the bench. So just a special moment, and it's unfortunate this had to happen. And I know that we've talked about some passings here with St. Louis and hockey and just hockey in general. But since Spiros was somebody that I knew and somebody that we all a lot of people here in St. Louis have met along the way, I wanted to take a little extra time to give our condolences to Spiros and all the lives that he touched.
That's an absolutely touching tribute. Awesome to see all the all the guys come together on the ice and necessary stick taps. So great job.
Yeah. I was proud of my boys. We all handled it well, and obviously the other team. I mean, that was their first time on the ice since he passed, and that's just tough. They played together for years, and to lose a teammate, not only just your commissioner but your teammate, that's rough stuff. So I will add one more thing about this, and that's to lighten the mood a little. So again, I mentioned that I delivered a pack of beer to our to the captain of the other team, and that was kind of comical in a sense because Spiros was the biggest proponent against bringing beer into the rink. He always said never ever, and he used to harp on us all the time. Never bring beer into the rink. Drink it in the parking lot. Do not bring beer into the rink. I mean, I can't tell you how many times in a season I'd hear that from him. So I was like, I had to have one last jab. I had to bring the beer into the rink. So I even said, I go, this one's for you, Steve. Like, this is, I had to piss you off one more time.
At least you guys didn't crack him on the ice and have one in his honor before you played.
That's true.
That would have been inappropriate.
Yes. All right. Well, the uneasy transition into something a little bit more lighthearted. We got some good news. Let's Go Blues Radio will be covering the PWHL Takeover Tour in St. Louis when they come here. So what is that? It's March 29th. Is that correct? We were approved for press credentials. So I at least will be in the press box all night. I know you and Kurt plan to sit at least below. I think you're all sitting with Adam Gold, correct?
Yeah, and we thought you were going to be there too, but no.
I'm going to do the press thing one more time. One last hurrah.
No. I used to be in the media.
No, I just think it'll be fun to have one of us actually covering it. And if you guys are interested and you want to, put on your Sunday best, I obviously you guys can join me after the game in the locker rooms, and I think it would just be a fun, cool thing to have for Let's Go Blues Radio. So we'll be doing that.
Yeah, no, I think it's cool that you're going to do it, but I don't know that Kurt and I should do it. I mean, I think Kurt's bring the kids, so maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But the optics of three dudes that do a podcast getting press credentials to go into the locker room of a women's game, come off a little pervy.
Come on, Jitsi Rose knows us. She's a friend of the show. So
right.
Yeah, there you go.
No, that would be really cool, and I hope to get to see your interviews. So
you will. I will. I'm planning on trying to record them. Maybe I'll put my GoPro on my head, and that won't be weird at all, will it?
Yeah, not at all.
Yep. So that'll be cool. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, please do. That is going to be a blast, fun day for the entire family. And if you have any young hockey playing women in your life, bring them, because this is such an uplifting thing to see. I know our friend of the show, crappy goalie Jason Miller. I know he's going to be bringing his daughter. She's very excited. So, and she's a goalie for the Chesterfield Falcons. Yeah, so very exciting, and I know this will be a big night for St. Louis. And to Adam, I know I haven't told you this yet, so I apologize. I will still gladly pay for a ticket if you want me to, and I'm pretty sure my family is going to be taking you up on your offer of going with you. So, yeah, so you will have other ponders there with you. Sorry to say.
And you said night. It is a 1 o'clock start.
Oh, sorry. Yes, 1 o'clock start.
Yeah, so
that's correct.
Don't show up at 7. It'll be over.
Do not. All right, well, let's get into beers of the episode. This is the official episode, beers of episode number 506. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. You can follow me at jponder94, courtesy price 12. Bill is at Billy Blue Note 33. I will go first, and I will say, Bill, I finally posted on the Untapped app tonight.
Congratulations.
I am gonna make a concerted effort to make this happen. You mentioned before the show this was going to be a shit show because we both had very long days, but we're going to make it through it. So yeah, my beer is in my wonderful Blarney Stone glass, which is an excellent bar here in Oakville. I am drinking Schlafly Pale Ale, one that I've had many times. This was the beer that got me through the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2019. I literally would not drink anything else because I kept saying I can't change beer because if I do, the Blues will lose. So, yes, crazy superstition beer. But you know what? Blues are on a roll. Had to break it out.
Yeah. What was mine? Mine was the perennial Saison de Lis.
Nice.
Yeah. We went to 3 or 4 games, including 2 in the final, and that's all I would drink. And I even picked up a 4-pack. So I'm superstitious like that as well.
Yep.
So if we make it back to the playoffs, maybe I'll go get some more of that.
Yeah, that might. I don't know if I'm going to try to change it up because this is my first one I've had in probably a couple months. So I don't know. I've been drinking my second beer tonight. I'm drinking a lot of Urban Underdog, so maybe that'll be the one I have to go with this year. We'll see.
Yeah, and that's plentifully available. So yeah, not a bad idea.
Yep.
And I will compliment you on having the only St. Patrick's Day themed thing with the Blarney Stone mug, since neither of us are drinking anything, Irish beer, Guinness, Smittix, or.
I almost went up and got some Guinness for tonight, but I was like, you know what? I'd rather just lay on the couch and watch the Avalanche and Maple Leafs.
Yeah. I didn't have a chance to have anything beforehand. I will say on St. Patty's Day, I did pour some Redbreast whiskey, which is
nice,
very, very nice Irish whiskey. But
yes, that's very good.
This last year was the year that we came to realize that our Irish heritage was not real and was co-opted by my father. But we don't really have much Irish blood, as it turns out. So I'm still kind of coming to grips with that. So
I've got very little Irish. Yeah. Very little Irish in me. I'm mostly Native American and German. But there is some Irish floating around in there. I'm kind of a European mutt.
Yeah. We're, my mom's side of the family is entirely German. They emigrated to this country and went to Germantown, Illinois. So yeah, we're that side of the family is from that area.
Isn't that funny to think about? Like they might, like they got here and they're like, oh, there's a Germantown. We should move there. That's a horrible accent, but
that's really bad.
But it's like, the word German's in it. We got to move there.
Or it could be that everybody around them just called it Germantown. Stay away from Germantown.
Yeah, right.
Stay away from those immigrants. We don't.
So
We've
what do you have
never
tonight?
tended to like immigrants in this country, right?
That's
Even though we
true.
all are, except for the Native Americans. Anyway, I digress. My beer. Let's get to my beer. I am drinking a very seasonally inappropriate beer. It's been sitting in my fridge. I didn't want it to go bad, so I am going with the massive 32 ounces of pumpkin spice Yeti. So this
I've
is
never had that. Is it good?
Yeti Imperial Stout, one of my favorites from Great Divide in Colorado. Actually sat and drank at the Great Divide in the airport when I was coming home, and I'm having it from my Yeti glass. So I have a little Yeti theme going on at my house. If you ever come here, there's a lot of Sasquatch stuff going on here. So big fan of
that's your
the
furry.
beer.
That's your furry that you dress up as in the bedroom, right? You dress up as Yeti.
Yeah, no comment. No comment. But,
Don't ask how I know that.
Yeah, I can only assume. But yeah, it's pumpkin spice Imperial Stout. It's pretty much exactly what you think. It's pretty tasty. But most importantly for me this evening, it is on the heavy side, alcohol by volume, only 9.5. I think what I had 2 weeks ago or whatever was 12.
Yes.
But it's making me feel pretty good. And that's
Good.
what counts.
That's all that matters. A couple comments we'll get to here, and then we'll get to our break. Winning Unlimited. St. Louis has a chance to set the record for the most attended women's hockey game. Detroit set the record Sunday with 14,288. We can't let Detroit have this record. Is that the record? I thought Ottawa set the record last year. Maybe is that just the U.S. record of the tour? Ah, okay. Is that what it is? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought Ottawa had the record at like 18,000.
Wait for him to respond because of the delay.
Yes, I will do that. So let's see. We've got Lower Bowl, more for Winning Unlimited. Lower Bowl is almost sold out for the PWHL Takeover Tour. Yes, there it is. Winning Unlimited says U.S. only. So yes, they have the U.S. record, which I know Minnesota was up there too for their first game, but maybe they didn't hit the 14,000 mark. And he says for any women's hockey game in the U.S., college, Olympics, etc. Divide by zero. I have not seen this. I don't know if this is breaking news or not. He says, wow, Ovechkin supposedly has said he isn't re-signing with the Capitals. He has a contract for next year, but he intends to return to the KHL to the Dynamo. Have you heard that?
Nope. Haven't heard it. And yeah, the only thing I heard was Trump and Putin want the U.S. to play Russia in a hockey game.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I'd love it.
Yeah.
I give me some sources here, Divide by Zero, if you have any, because I'd love to read more on that, because I have not heard that about him. I know he's said before he's happy to play here and loves playing in Washington. So obviously that would be big news if he left. Let's see. Ken Morris says, to you, Bill, David Paulidis, is that how you say his name? When he was a guest on Coast to Coast AM, had some cool Bigfoot tales. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, I will have to check it out.
Yep.
Canadian, probably CBC Radio, I assume. That's where Coast to Coast in the morning or Coast to Coast AM would be found. Yeah.
Yep. Divide by Zero says a bunch of outlets are reporting it now. I can't. The link won't let me post. Yeah, links are weird in YouTube. I will have to look around and see if I find that. Maybe we'll do that now since we are taking a quick break. You will hear more from Bill and I as we talk about the St. Louis Blues and their winning ways lately. You are listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Don't go anywhere.
We'll return after these messages.
As a hockey player, Mike Burgoyne knows a thing or two about making the perfect play. And when it comes to real estate, he's always ready to score the winning goal for his clients. If you're a first responder, a veteran, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, or a Let's Go Blues Radio listener looking to score the home of your dreams, you'll receive special rates with Mike. Go ahead, Shoot some questions his way, and he'll have the answer quicker than Curtis Joseph on a breakaway.
Curtis Joseph got the pedal down.
Any barriers? Mike will mow them down like Chris Pronger in front of the net. He'll score you your dream home or sell your existing home faster than a Brett Hall one-timer.
Flip past the Hall. He shoots. He scores.
See Burgoyne's real estate prowess in action today by emailing him at mike@strikewithmike.com or by calling 314-753-4060. That email again is mike@strikewithmike.com, and that phone number is 314-753-4060. Getting Mike Burgoyne on your team will be the boost your power play needs.
Hey guys, it's Jeff. You know, the fun, energetic host of Let's Go Blues Radio. I know I give off a natural energy and cheerful glow, but as I've gotten older, I've realized I need a kick in the pants to get going. I've tried it all, from forcing myself to drink coffee to picking up an energy drink every morning, but none of it provided true, sustainable energy without crash. Luckily, my friend Dustin at RockinThatIDLife.com told me about their product, Energy, which provides exactly what I need. The first thing I do every morning is fill up my shaker bottle with water and a small energy packet, and within minutes of drinking it, my day truly begins. I feel motivated to get going on my work and feel the mental focus take effect as I dive into what I'm doing. I don't crash, and I feel like $1,000,000 throughout the day. Reach out to Dustin today to experience how much better your professional life can be. Email him at rockinThatIDLife@gmail.com and get $10 off your first order. That's rockinThatIDLife.com, and that email again is rockinThatIDLife@gmail.com. Don't let a lack of energy keep you from being who you want to be.
Yes, and as you can see, there are a lot of different ways to stamp out thirst with refreshing Stag beer. Now, one of the most popular is this handy six-pack. People like the six-pack because it saves space in the refrigerator, lets them keep more good, cold Stag beer on hand. And you know, when you've got Stag on hand, you've got a mess.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
I love how that guy gets indignant about spraying beer on his dark jacket. Like,
Yeah.
people could see that on black and white.
Yeah, right. Or even see it like the people in the studio.
Right.
Like,
And
it's
whoever-
beer on a jacket. You can't see that.
Whoever that is that cackles, man, they missed their calling.
Yeah. Yeah. That I remember the laugh track on Boy Meets World. There was somebody who always cackled like that in the laugh track. Like any joke at all, you'd hear this guy just go, ha, ha, ha. And it's like once you hear it, you can't not hear it. And it's like every damn joke. So keep that in mind. I just ruined Boy Meets World for our audience. Sorry, everybody.
I've never seen it, never will see it.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it probably didn't age well, is my guess.
Generational difference between
Yep.
us.
That is definitely true. I grew up with that show. That and you were more Saved by the Bell, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it all the time because I had older siblings. So I know every episode. Love that show too. But yeah, definitely more my age appropriate was Boy Meets World. Couple things that I want to comment on that we talked about in the first period. Seeing here that apparently Alexander Ovechkin said to Sport Express, which is the big Russian sports magazine or website, whatever it is. He says, likely I will not extend my NHL contract with Washington Capitals after the 25-26 season. Instead, I would like to sign with Dynamo Moscow in the KHL if my health will be fine. Too early to say anything now. So if that's true, it does sound like Ovechkin's planning on next year being his victory lap, which would not surprise me. I mean, you break the record. What more else do you have to prove? You've already won a Stanley Cup.
Right.
I don't blame him.
You know, good on him for not being so greedy to be like, oh, I'm going to keep playing and so I can put up as many goals as possible. So it's even that much more difficult for somebody to catch me.
Yep.
Yeah.
You think he's going to get to, he's going to do his best to get to 1,000?
No, not with that comment.
Yeah, that's true. That would be crazy. 1,000 goals in the NHL. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Other thing I wanted to comment on was the PWHL game. I'll admit, I hate. Listen, I want to break the record. I'm with you, but I just hate reading articles like this because it's like every paragraph keeps one-upping itself. So this is from NPR News. So it looks like the professional women's hockey game. So it says at the start of the article, the Minnesota Frost and New York Sirens played in front of 14,288 fans Sunday night, setting an attendance record for a professional women's hockey game in the United States. So that's a keyword, professional. The PWHL game broke the mark as part of its takeover tour, potential expansion venues as Little Caesars Arena a year after 13,736 fans watched women on the same sheet of ice at the home of the Detroit Red Wings. Denver drew 14,018 fans to set the previous U.S. record 2 months ago in another neutral site game. The world attendance record for a women's hockey game was set nearly a year ago when 21,105 people were in the stands for a PWHL game between Montreal and Toronto in the NHL Canadiens Arena. The largest crowd to watch a women's hockey game in the U.S. was set in 2017 when 15,359 attended St. Cloud State's game at Wisconsin. In 2022 in Seattle, 14,551 fans watched the U.S. women's national team beat Canada. So basically, there's all your stats for all the records. So I'm looking at the U.S. record is for a women's game in general is apparently 15,359. Let's beat that. That should be the goal. Let's beat 15,359. Let's sell out. Let's get to 19,000 and really stretch that record out further. So there you go. That's there's some clarity there. So we won't have a bunch of people yelling at their iPods. I always say that, yelling at their iPods. Like people actually listen to us on their iPods still. If you're listening to us on an iPod, please let us know. Oh, look at you. You've got an iPod mini there, huh?
Mm-hmm. And
I used mine for a lot longer than most people too, because I was just like, it's I that's the one I had.
I'm a dork. I retrofitted that one with a solid state hard drive and have my entire music catalog in there.
Nice.
And 10 gigabytes to spare or something like that. It's pretty
nice. Good. Yeah, I used mine for the longest time because I took mine on runs, but after a while, I guess if you run enough with it, it bounces up and down so much, it screws with the hardware. So it still works, but if I try to go on a run with it, it like doesn't even it starts skipping songs but yeah, it still works, which hey, that's some good hardware that it still works if I just sit still and listen to it.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet. I will tell you though, like I have a Garmin Phoenix 7X Solar Sapphire or whatever. Very, very good watch. Now I don't have to carry anything but my watch and put in some earbuds, and I've got music on my run.
That is
pretty
fantastic. Awesome. Yep, same here. All right, so tickets for the 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs are going on sale this Friday, March 21st. Fans can sign up for Blues email communications to receive early access. Single game tickets for the potential first 3 rounds of the Stanley Cup playoffs will go on sale to the public at 10 a.m. at Ticketmaster.com. You tell me, because I know you went to a lot of games in the 19 run and a couple after, and I did too. But the first 3 rounds, I thought it was always the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And then if they started to win a little bit in the second round, they would start selling the 3rd round.
Yeah. That's my recollection. I think I bought only the game we went to in the first round. That was the only one I bought on the primary market. Everything else was through SeatGeek or StubHub or whatever it was. I think SeatGeek, but yeah. But yeah,
I
that
was shocked to see
seems different, but
yeah, and it's like, especially like in 2019, it was like that team was, and I know they're hot right now too, but they were hot, and before the season they had pretty high expectations. So it would have made sense to me then. 3 rounds. I feel like that's a
Right.
money grab by the Blues.
Yeah,
You know?
it feels like it. And
Yeah, like-
oh wait, we're gonna start seeing sorry, we're having process issues returning your money.
Yeah. Yeah, like it'll be like, well, you're gonna pay in full for your tickets now, and we will refund you in 2035 if
And
they
you
don't
get
make
an
it that
email
far.
from a ticket rep. Hey, instead of us refunding this money back to you, do you want to put that down for next year?
Season tickets. There you go. That's exactly what it is. That's a great call. Yep. So that's their in for getting people to try to get more people for season tickets. Genius actually, but interesting. So I do like that, and I'm trying to remember if they did this last year at all. I know they did start selling playoff tickets, but they were in the race pretty late last season, and I don't remember them making a big deal about selling playoff tickets. So I think they're really trying to hype them up a little bit, which, hey, they should. They're playing some damn good hockey. Just kind of surprised to see them again selling all 3 rounds.
Yeah. I hadn't heard that until you brought it up. So
There you go.
I haven't gone to a game yet this year. Montreal's here next Tuesday. I'm gonna go to that one.
There you go. I was at the game on Sunday. I've been to a few games this year. I think they've lost 2, but I want to say they've won like 7 or 8 while I'm there. Last year they wwere undefeated. They were like 7-0 last year. So
yeah,
my record lately has been pretty good.
Yeah, you should just steal your brother's tickets.
That's what I think I'm gonna do. Man, I did have some. God, he's got some ridiculous seats. They're like, I think 14 rows from behind and to the left shoulder of Bennington for 2 periods. Great seats.
Yeah, that's I love that section of the arena. If money were no object, I would have seats in 101 or 102.
There you go.
Those are the best.
I think his is 125, I believe, is where those seats are at. Well, let's get into talking about some actual Blues games, not just their ticket reps thanking us for announcing the playoffs. The Penguins, and this is the one loss this week we'll discuss. The Penguins defeated the Blues 5-3 after the Blues had their 4-day break. Jordan Kyrou played in his 400th game. We're going to talk about him a lot tonight. 4 shots on goal in this game. Jordan Binnington played not well, I think, in this game. I think we can both agree on that. 15 saves on 19 shots. Got pulled up to the 5th goal. And Joel Hofer. I'm sorry, was it the 4th goal? Did they have an empty netter?
I thought it was. Yeah, it was. Was it the 4th or was it the 3rd?
I'm gonna have to look.
I don't know. It was the right time to do it. I'll tell you that much.
But Joel Hofer did come in and make 2 saves on 2 shots. I am looking it up now.
Then it was.
They did have an empty net goal.
Yeah.
Yep. They had an empty net goal. So yeah, they. I don't remember that empty net goal. It was Rickard Rakell.
Right. No, Crosby stole the puck at the blue line and passed it across to Rakell. And I stormed upstairs.
Yeah.
I will say that this was like I can't remember being this angry about a loss in a season or two. Right.
This was rough.
Yeah, I had such high hopes, like, coming out of, we get that 5-day layoff after such a successful road trip. And you're like, oh man, can't wait. Penguins, we're going to roll right over them. And then, Bennington thought it was January. And yeah,
I mean, that might have been his worst game all season.
I wouldn't go that far.
No,
it's worst game since probably December.
Yeah, I'd definitely go with that. Yeah, that was pretty rough. Only the Blues' second regulation loss in 11 games. They did come out hot. 16 shots in the first period, outshot them 16-5. Looked good. Power play was 2 for 2, which, I mean, that never happens. So, lately they've been a lot better, obviously,
right.
But the power play has been such a problem this year. You go 2 for 2 on the power play. 16 shots in the first period. You say those two stats and you're like, oh, that team clearly won the game. Nope. So when you still lose with those stats in mind, it's rough. It's rough to take that. Took that one on the chin. Alexei Toropchenko did score a sick goal in this one, coast to coast. He did put the Blues close in this game, 4-3 in the third period. Splits the defense, took a wrist shot from above the crease after going coast to coast. So just a beautiful, quick. He's such a. I just look at the way he plays, and yes, he is a third or fourth liner. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's gonna, Blues are gonna trade him. He's gonna be Craig Conroy and putting up 80 points, but I just look at him. He's got speed, he's got size, he's got a great shot. I'm like, I feel like this guy should be able to put up 20 goals in the NHL, but for some reason, it's just not like the offense doesn't click all the time for him. But we see him make plays like this, and we're like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, he gets relegated to the third and fourth line. Right? That seems to be where the Blues have destined him to be while he's here. He has the same build as Nichushkin, and the Nichushkin clone in Dallas, and even Trennan. Right? They all have that same build. All wear 13, and but Toropchenko has just such great speed and such great tenacity. The hands fail him. And I think he was snake bit for most of this year. But, he's kind of coming out of it. Might still wind up with 7-8 goals on the season. After last year, I think last year he had 12, something like that. And I think we were all expecting, double digits at least. And been a bit of a disappointment, but he's trending in the right direction. So
he's getting hot when he needs to, and that's huge. I'll say though, in this game, you mentioned the frustration of being a fan and losing this game, and I hate to use this excuse because it does get tiresome. Tristan Jarry played a hell of a game. He was great. 32 saves on 35 shots. Apparently, since he's been called up, because he was down in the AHL, he's made 97 saves on 103 shots that's a 942 save percentage. He's won all 3 of his first starts since he was recalled. There's some real Bill Day numbers right there.
No. I thought he was okay. I thought he was the better goalie in this game.
Well, yeah.
But his rebound control is pretty awful. I think that Pittsburgh played to that though, and the Blues didn't capitalize on a lot of the stuff that was just put right back out into the slot. I also think that the ice didn't look great.
100%.
A lot of jumping pucks. But yeah, it was one of those frustrating games. That long layoff. And you're so excited about it. They come in and it felt like, they shit the bed. And, when you start getting your hopes up as a Blues fan, everything from pre-19 comes flooding back and you're like, oh, we're going to lose again. But hey, they didn't. They righted the ship after this game. And yeah, I mean, there were some good things. Jarry did play well enough to beat them, and was the difference in the game. But
yeah, and I'll say, as hot as he played, the Blues still put 3 on him. And if your goalie plays well, which the Blues goalies together faced 21 shots, and obviously quantity doesn't matter; it's quality. And I still think with quality taken into account, this is one the Blues probably could have taken if Binnington was on top of his game, but clearly he was not. Nice of Hofer to come in and make 2 saves, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough from your goalies. Defense, I thought, was okay. Again, there's a couple of those I think that the defense could have helped out a little bit better, but definitely not Binnington's strongest game. And I think that's why it's so frustrating, because he was playing so well, and then he has a stinker like this.
Yeah. Yeah, and Hofer, it's kind of opened the door for Hofer to make it a goalie controversy, if you will. Not that Binnington was bad, against the Ducks, but I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves with the
Yeah, we'll get there. Ken Morris in the chat says, last time I saw a goal like Toropchenko on the Penguins ice, it was some guy wearing the black and gold with number 66 on his back. Yeah, I mean, again, hate to say it, Lemieux, a great skater, one of the best we've seen, and a big dude who lumbers through people. That was what Toropchenko did. And again, we're not saying Toropchenko is Lemieux, but that was a Lemieux-like play, and I appreciate seeing that, especially from a third, fourth line guy, being able to skate like that through the Penguins defense and just making them all look silly. Just beautiful. You want to see that more often from him.
Yeah, made him look like Rich Pilon or Kurt Giles.
Oh, goodness.
So
All right.
before we get into the next game, I do want to bring one comment up, and since I can't control this, Patrick Yoder in the chat says, what a coincidence, Bill. I had high hopes of winning the playoffs, but here you are with a 10-point lead. So I do have to toot my fantasy hockey team's horn here for a second. Patrick was nice enough to invite me into his league. I've taken a several year hiatus from doing fantasy hockey, and I jumped in, and I had such a shitty first part of the season. I started out 1-7, I think. Ooh. And I made the playoffs on the very last week, edging out Great Grandpa was the team name. So I got in with a win over Patrick's team, which is a great fantasy hockey team name, Brandon Montour de Force. That's a great fantasy hockey team name. I got the win. It was close, and we matched up in the first round of the playoffs. And right now, I do have a 10-point lead over him. So
I will tell you,
Blues of 19 fantasy.
Don't get cocky, because
I will not.
Because I have had a 10-point lead on a Thursday and still ended up losing in the playoffs.
Right. There are 2 games tonight. So, right. Yeah. There's no points to be had. Tomorrow night, 14 games. It's at this point, it's all about
it could literally be that you get 0 goals, 0 assists, and he gets 10 from each. Literally can have a day like that.
Right. Or, I have 2 guys on my team that have gotten 10-minute misconducts or match penalties in games and have wound up with like negative 16 points in games. So I got to make sure not to start those bozos.
My goodness, I think we got a Puckdoku war going here in the chat. Kurt Giles mentioned Rich Pilon, which both were just mentioned by Bill. Then we got Pierre Turgeon, Benoit Hogue getting mentioned. Nice. We got some hockey knowledge going there in the chat. And I will say there was a question here. Rich Pilon, didn't he win a cup or 2 at the Isles? No, that was pre Rich Pilon. He didn't do shit. So
except come to St. Louis and get laughed at.
And literally steal money from the Blues. I mean, he could have walked up, signed his contract, said, give me all my money, and then they hand it to him, walks out. Would have been the same impact on the Blues that he had. Unbelievable. Ugh. They paid him to rehab. I'm not bitter. So we've got the Wild game up next, which, after a letdown game against Pittsburgh, you're a little concerned going in against the Wild. I think they rightly, after seeing what Binnington did against the Penguins, they play Hofer. I liked that, actually, especially with it being a back-to-back. You're going to get Binnington at some point in one of those games. So I actually kind of liked it. They went ahead and just went to Hofer. This isn't a situation like 30 years ago when you've got, a great goalie and a shit goalie behind him. You've got a strong guy in Joel Hofer. So I'm perfectly okay with him getting the start here. He makes 17 saves on 18 shots. Thought he played very well in this game. And as you mentioned, we'll talk a little bit here about the Nashville game in a bit, but he's looked very good, I think, the last week or so, as opposed to how he looked about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no, he, they broke the formulaic approach with this game, starting Hofer over Bennington. There weren't 2 games in there that Bennington was forced to start before they went to Hofer. They went to the guy that's been playing better, right? The strategy that we always advocate for, and Hofer proved them right. I mean, he was so good. So good, in fact, that I can't remember. I could not possibly rank which was his best save. Therefore, there will be no save of the week this week.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Letting them down easy. That was my approach. Hofer was really good, but the Blues came out and played just a strong game. Perfect road game, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. And then Jordan Kyrou, which again, I said we'd mention him. We are going to continue to mention him. He had his 24th career multi-goal game because he scored his 5th NHL hat trick in this game. In the past 25 seasons, the only Blues players with as many as him with career multi-goal games, again, he had 24. Vladimir Tarasenko has had 39 with the Blues. David Perron, 26. And he is tied with Keith Tkachuk, who had 24. So very exciting to see that Jordan Kyrou is, again, we talk about Toropchenko picking it up late in the season here. Not that Kyrou hasn't been for a while now, but he is playing some excellent hockey lately. One of those goals, yes, it was an empty net goal, but it was a lot of pressure by the Blues on the Wild to keep the puck in the zone, including Kyrou. He had a shot before that didn't go in, and they just kept at it, and he ended up getting another chance. I think it was Shen that sent it over to him, and then a lot of people were laughing at the wraparound goal.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. How do you think Gustafsson played that? Would you say he played that okay, or was that a better play by Kyrou? What would you say?
I think Minnesota as a whole played that very, very poorly. Gustafsson overcommitted, and he put himself out of position and had no chance to get back. But in that play, he is relying on, I don't know if it was Faber or who it was, but to get back to the far post quicker, and nobody did. And the announcers touting the tracking statistics, and he went around that net at 21 miles per hour. That's to pull that move off is pretty impressive. Just to see the way that he perfectly curled it, but it almost looked like a practice play, and it almost looked like the Wild played it like a practice play.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't like Gustafsson. I agree with you. I don't like the way that the defenseman just kind of chased. Just a weird play for them, but we'll take it. Jordan Kyrou, again, getting the hat trick in this game. Very nice. Also wanted to add, Braden Shen had a goal and an assist in this game. Blues were 0 for 2 on the power play, but Minnesota was 0 for 1, which is great. And again, spoiler alert, this might be the first time all season that we've done a show and we are not talking about a power play goal against. The Blues did not give up a power play in the last 7 days. I'm sorry, power play goal in the last 7 days. So that is that's something to be said for a team that has struggled with special teams, and they've scored plenty of their own power play goals. So things are turning around on that front.
Right. The Ken Hitchcock metric is turning, right? It's the power play goals minus shorthanded goals against, or
I thought it was if your power play wasn't the power play percentage and the penalty kill percentage added up to 110.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't remember because I dislike Ken Hitchcock so much, but I knew there was something there, and the Blues are a long way from there, probably still. But yeah, it's trending in the right direction.
I'd say if you look at the metrics since the Four Nations face-off, I bet they're right there.
Yeah,
because they have played such good hockey since then.
They really have, with the exception of the Penguins game.
Yes, agree. That was a stinker. Anything else you want to comment on with the Wild game?
Just Marcus Foligno is an asshole. But apart from that, no, I think we can move on.
In back-to-back games, the Blues defeat the Anaheim Ducks on home ice. They close out that 6-game road trip finally, and they get home and defeat the Ducks 7-2. St. Louis is 9-2-2 in their past 13 games at this point. Shen gave the Blues a 1-0 lead just 41 seconds into the first period, converting a pass from Dylan Holloway at the right side of the crease. He was honored in a pregame ceremony for playing in his 1,000th NHL game last month, again, with this long-ass road trip. That was a while ago. But
Washington,
he finally,
right?
Yes, yeah, and he finally got to have it celebrated here in St. Louis in front of his home crowd. And that was a nice ceremony. I mean, the Blues have the Blues have had a lot of these lately, right? They had Cam Fowler 1,500, Ryan
Cam Fowler 1,000, Suter 1,500,
Ryan Suter 1,500, and now Braden Shen at 1,000. Yeah, I just the Blues do these right. I love the painting they give them. Obviously, they do the whole Rolex watch, the silver stick. Although people did mention notable absence, and did you read anything into this, of Doug Armstrong not being on the ice for that ceremony? It was Alexander Steen in his place.
No, I actually didn't watch the game on time. Surprise, surprise. Missed the ceremony and haven't had a chance to go back and watch it. But I don't think, just, from the complete outsider view on this, I wouldn't read anything into it. I don't know. Is there some kind of scuttlebutt that Armstrong and Shen don't get along?
No, I don't think so. And I'll say that personally, my thoughts on it are I'm pretty sure Monday morning, and maybe it was even Sunday night, was the start of the GM meetings.
Right.
So I think it was literally that. Yeah, I think it was literally that Doug Armstrong was like, I've already got a flight. And maybe if the game would have started on time, which that's something we didn't mention, which, we'll get to here in a second, I guess. If the game would have started its normal 5:00 start time, maybe Armstrong would have been there.
Right.
But because it got pushed back 2 hours, maybe he had a flight to catch. So I really think that's all that was. I don't think there was, because people were saying, well, maybe he was mad. Shen's mad at Armstrong for asking him to waive his no trade. And I'm like, I don't think there's anything like that. I think it literally is just a timing issue for him in the GM's meetings.
Right. That was a totally weird thing. For me, it was a thankful thing that, we didn't have second week in a row where we play a game in 22 hours from the previous start time. Obviously, they talked about travel issues with the Blues getting out of Minnesota. So, I was happy that it got pushed back to 7:00. I prefer, maybe it's just me and I'm old and I like routines. I prefer 7:00 start times always.
Yeah.
Always make it 7:00.
I think players agree. I think they like being in that routine, and when they have the weird 2:00 or 5:00 start times, and especially for this game too, because they literally had to travel that morning. I don't think they like getting out of the routine, which I don't blame them one bit. I'm a beer league player and I have a fucking routine. So makes sense. Yeah. And that's something, again, I didn't mention. The Blues did have to push this game back 2 hours because they had some mechanical issues with their plane out of Minnesota. So they ended up actually announcing Saturday night, we're traveling tomorrow, so we're going to push the game back 2 hours. And very interesting. I'll say my only beef with that was that I had a hockey game at 9:00 that I was planning on playing in. So since I had tickets to this game, I was like, I guess I got to bail. Sorry, guys. But, whatever. It's fine. I saw a hell of a hockey game. I'm not going to complain. So Jordan Kyrou has 3 assists in this game. So for the weekend, 6 points, 3 goals, 3 assists. Dylan Holloway and Jake Neighbors each had a goal and an assist each. And I do have that note in here about the original start time. I did like Jim Montgomery's comments here about when this happened. He said it's just another obstacle to overcome by his team. He said, quote, "I'm very impressed, but as soon as they said something was wrong with our plane, we couldn't get home, I said, we're going to win tomorrow night because it looks like our group is looking for challenges now and looking to accept them and overcome them." So that is a mark of a good team, always looking to overcome the obstacles. And I think Montgomery, I don't know if he was happy that they couldn't get home that night, but I am sure that he actually thought in his head, like, oh, we're going to win because these boys are going to be pissed off.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, right? You kind of want to get home as fast as you can after you've been pretty much on the road, except for 3 days over the last 2 weeks. So maybe it was enough to piss them off and inspire them. I'd like to think it was the Shen ceremony and Shen scoring 40 seconds into this game that really lifted this team.
God, that pass from Holloway on that play too, and Shen to pivot. For me, again, like being a beer league player, I see these guys, and it's so funny because it just looks so simple when you've never played the game. And I'm not saying the fans think that what they do is simple, but for me, it's like I watch the way. First of all, just a perfect pass from Dylan Holloway, and for Shen to be on his backhand, and then in one just pure moment of just pivoting, switches his entire body angle to where if he gets a pass, all he has to do is tip it and it's in the net. And that's exactly what he did. Just perfect goal by Shen. Great pass from Holloway. And yeah, I mean, it was, what do we say? It was 18 seconds into the game. I mean, you can't start off a game any better than that.
Yeah, the captain getting honored for his 1000th game, and then perfect pass, perfect tuck shot. And I guess we should also thank Anaheim for giving us Lucas Dostal again.
He's been rough.
I mean, they're giving this guy as much puck rubber exposure as they possibly can. And, I hope Anaheim's the surprise team next year and he leads the way because, man, he is getting fed to the wolves this year.
Yeah, he is. He is. I at the start of the year, I thought he was awesome. I watched a couple Ducks games. I watched probably Anaheim, LA, and San Jose more than other teams, other than the Blues, obviously, just because they play late. And so after, late at night, when my wife's in bed, I'm like, oh, I'll turn on whatever hockey game's on. Seattle, I guess, would be up there too. Vancouver. But yeah, and so I watched a lot of him early on. And I thought, man, this kid's good. But I think it's just the wear and tear of the NHL season. I don't think they planned on him playing as much as he's had to play this year. John Gibson has had some injuries right now. And again, you mentioned you feel bad, feeding him to the wolves. Who are you going to put in? Ville Husso?
Yes, you will. And hey, you got to see your favorite thing in person. The goalie with the wrong helmet.
That is true. I did. When he took the ice, I thought because I even said at the end of the second, because I scored that goal, fairly late in the second. I looked at my brother and I was like, oh man, I hope they put in Husso because I guarantee he's still got that Red Wings helmet. And yep, there he is. Third period, skates out. I'm like, yes. So yeah, Lucas Dostal, 9 saves on 14 shots. Ville Husso comes in relief in the third period, gives up 2 goals on 12 shots. Jordan Binnington, you mentioned, played in this game, 23 saves on 25 shots. He had a good bounce back game. Don't get me wrong. That was nice to see, but I don't think he particularly had to be that good. I thought the Blues played so well in front of him that he really just needed to play big like he always does and just eat up the pucks that he can. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, no.
And I thought both Anaheim goals were legit too.
I can't even remember them at this point, but yeah, the Blues have been so good at just completely dominating the center of the ice and keeping players to the outside. Like, how many times did you see Zegras, just try to skate skate around the zone because he couldn't get any kind of penetration. Anything that got in, right? I know Zegras is the most overhyped player in forever. But the Ducks just, were kept to the outside for the most part. And, Binnington did what he had to do. I can't say, again, didn't have a lot of prep time today. Thank you, work. But, Binnington didn't look terrible, but he didn't have to be great in this game.
Cutter Gauthier scored or Gauthier, however you say his name. He was the one, he scored that one where he was kind of falling as he shot. And I just thought just a nice, quick relay onto the net that Binnington wasn't ready for. So I didn't really blame him on that. Plus, he was completely open, nobody on him. But just a smart play, I thought, by Gauthier.
Yeah, he was part of that big deal with Philly earlier this year. Had a falling out with Torts and got dealt to Anaheim. And I'll tell you, he was pretty impressive in the game the other night against Dallas when Anaheim took Dallas to overtime. Before losing. But Cutter Gauthier is having a hell of a season. And what did they say? He was like 4th in rookie scoring.
Yeah, I think so. I have a friend that I work with that is not a huge hockey fan. And I got a text from her. She lives in Philly. And I got a text from her one night just randomly. And I was not paying attention to what was going on in the NHL. And she goes, she sent me, who is this Cutter Gauthier guy? Which I thought was so odd to get from her. And I texted her back and I said, he's an Anaheim Duck. He used to be a Flyer. Why do you ask? She's like, I'm at the Flyers game tonight, and every time this guy touches the puck, everyone's booing him. And I just laughed, and I was like, oh yeah. And I gave her like a quick synopsis about what happened. And she's like, I have never heard a fan base boo so loud. I'm like, well, clearly you don't go to Flyers games often.
Right. Right.
But no, so you mentioned the Dallas game. I want to mention that too against Anaheim, because there is a weird statistic, and I've actually brought it up a couple times now on the Let's Go Blues Minute. Nikita Nesterenko. You know what I'm going to say here?
He's not related to Eric Nesterenko?
No. He has, well, at this point in this game, he had 4 career goals in the NHL. He played in, hang on, let me look. Total 20, would have been 21 games at the time. 21 games, he has 4 goals, all against the St. Louis Blues.
Jesus. So we're trading for this offseason?
In 4 games, he had 4 goals against the Blues. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who is this guy? And so I even said on the Let's Go Blues radio, or Let's Go Blues Minute, I was like, do not let this guy get traded to a Central Division team. If he's on a line with Kyle Connor, he's going to score 30 goals against the Blues next season.
In 3 games.
Yeah. But I will say that strange anomaly did end last night in that Dallas game. He did score against the Dallas Stars.
Yeah.
So at least we can say now that Nesterenko can at least score against another team.
Yeah, I went through it, played in Anaheim early in the season and he scored. And I remember going through the thought process and the research at the time. Nesterenko, is he related to Eric Nesterenko, former Blackhawk and starred in Youngblood as his dad? Oh, this is a great story. Oh no, he's Russian. Nope. And I went through that again Sunday. I'm like, oh wait, I already did all this.
I do that constantly.
Yeah, such a letdown.
Every time that it's a name that I see, I can't think of the most recent, but I do that almost nightly where I'm like, is that guy related? Like, I do a lot with baseball because I'm not as in tune with baseball as I am with hockey. Yeah. I'll see a name. Like, I remember the first time I saw Tatis Jr. and I'm like, that's right? Like, come on, that's got to be him. And of course.
I will say that my favorite all-time listening to baseball on the radio moment was the night that his dad hit 2 grand slams in the same inning.
That was on my birthday.
I remember driving around O'Fallon, Illinois, eating Taco Bell in my car, listening to that game, and just my mind's been blown. You never expect that to happen. And
Yep.
yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, I just thought the thing with Nesterenko was so interesting. I'm like, you never see that. Like, this dude is, again, if it was like against the Kings or like the Kraken, it's like, okay,
Right.
they're in the
Division
same division.
opponents.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, he only scores against the Blues. What the hell? And now I guess we can at least say he scores against only the Central Division. So that helps us feel a little bit better. Yep. So Jordan Kyrou, again, 6 points this weekend in the past 2 games. He became the fourth Blues player in the past 30 years with 3-point games on consecutive days, joining, again, David Perron, May 12th to the 13th in 2021, Alex Pietrangelo, March 17th to the 18th in 2018, and, of course, everyone's favorite right wing, number 22 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts, Brad Boyes, March 28th to 29th, 2008. So that is some elite company to be in. Future Blues Hall of Famer, Brad Boyes.
I almost mentioned Boyes earlier when you were talking about Ovechkin, because I was going to make a joke about how, at one point Brad Boyes and Lee Stepniak were going to break Gretzky's record in the minds of Blues fans.
43 goals in one season. Very impressive. So I will say the Blues did have only 4 shots in the second period, but scored on 3 of them. So again, goes to show how worn I think Dostal is this late in the year. Blues have held their opponents to fewer than 30 shots in 13 straight games and are number 1 in the league since February 7th, allowing 23.3 shots per game against. So yeah, obviously shots against has been such an improvement. But I'll say shots for as well. I think we talked about this last week. Shots for has been so much better. And I think there is a bigger mindset of crashing the net that I think we've seen. You mentioned the Pittsburgh game. There was so many rebounds, and I just don't think they were playing the game we've seen them play the last couple weeks. They are, and you look at, the Jake Neighbors goals that we've seen. He scored one in this game that was driving the net. Braden Shen, his first goal of the game was driving the net. Jordan Kyrou scored a couple driving the net goals, one against Nashville that we'll talk about. Like, they're driving the net, they're going to the hard areas, and they're scoring big goals. And I'll say in this game too, like Justin Falk, I thought had a great game. There's just so many factors to why they're playing so well, but I think it does lead with a much improved offensive game plan.
Yeah. They're definitely, just all around. They're not relying solely on 1 or 2 players, right? Robert Thomas, who I have on my fantasy team, has been disappointing for the last few weeks. Pops up with a couple of points in a couple of games, but he's not leading the team. It's more spread out, but that second line, Holloway and Kyrou and Shen, man, they've been so dominant. And then you get onto that third line with Bolduc. I mean, Bolduc is such a great sniper. And, you got Sundqvist, who will just, he scored a couple of power play goals here. And, was kind of looking like he was earlier in the year. And Matthew Joseph, great penalty killing and contributing goals, right? They're all around. The offense is popping. And we didn't hear, that's the other thing, the goals from the defense. That's what everybody talked about early in this season, right? The Blues got so many goals from their defense. That's not been a thing here in the last recent run.
Offense is surging. You mentioned Matthew Joseph, the shorthanded goal in this game was just him hustling and rushing. And I think he had a rough start to the year. I don't know if it was just like a change of scenery thing that affected him, but I'll admit, like, all the people in Ottawa that were saying, "Oh man, I cannot believe we let that guy go for nothing." I'm like, what are they missing in this guy. But now the last, I'd say, turn of the calendar year, I've been pretty impressed with him. Like he's a hustler. He hits. He's got hands. Just and like you said, excellent on the PK, which this team obviously needs.
Right. No, I think one of the turning points of the season that we'll look back on when we do the season end recap is Brandon Saad, right? Cutting the as good as he was here for several years, he was dead weight. And they did the right thing and both agreeing to move on. And since he's been gone, right, we expected to see more of Joseph on a consistent basis and also Texier. And well, I has anybody talked to Texier recently? Like, is he okay? He's kind of disappeared again. But they've been throwing the same line out.
I'll talk to his pants because
you got him.
My echo into him. Yep.
Yeah. No, I mean the consistency of the lineup, at least of the forward group, right? They found chemistry, and that is such a huge thing. And all the commentary, the Binnington talk and the Shen talk about loving one another and playing for one another. It didn't die with that one loss in Pittsburgh.
No,
and it's carried on. It's been
I mean the offense has been so much fun to watch. I mean, I think we've said the last 2 seasons that if this team's going to win, the goaltending needs to stand on its head because the offense just is not going to be there. Well, again, since the Four Nations face-off, for the most part, they've gotten good goaltending, but they've gotten the offense. They've gotten both. And I don't know. It's crazy. You mentioned the Brandon Saad turnaround. I had to look it up. I'm like, I wonder how he's statistically doing in Vegas. 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points in 15 games. So clearly he's contributing on a lot better clip. Now he's playing with a more offensively gifted lineup. Don't get me wrong. But 7 goals and 9 assists in 43 games for the Blues. So he was just not cutting it here. He's doing a lot better there in Vegas, but the Blues are doing a lot better since he left. So, and again, nothing against Saad. I like Saad, but yeah, I think his time in St. Louis, it was over. It was done.
Yeah, and I'm glad that both sides recognized that and mutually agreed to part ways. Right.
Yep.
Oh, perfect transition. I've got the game on Minnesota and Seattle, and now they've got the O'Reilly and UC Saros commercial. We
nice.
Talk about UC Saros. No goals.
No goals. All right, I wanted to ask you, Jacob Trouba's hit on Jordan Kyrou in this game.
I think that the appropriate response was to fight. I some of the officiating, some of the calls that have come out of these things have been weird. Tyler Tucker getting the extra 2 made 0 sense. I don't know if it was this play. It wasn't Shen that fought.
No,
Trouba?
yeah. So this was Shen fighting Trouba after the hit.
Right.
Shen got the unsportsmanlike, and then Trouba and Shen both got 5 minutes.
Right. That didn't make any sense. The hit I thought wasn't great. I don't think it was malicious, but I didn't think it was great. I thought that Shen had the right response, and I think the officials fucked it up by giving Shen the extra 2.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I agree with you. I actually don't hate the hit. I'm not gonna say I like it, but I don't hate it. I think Kyrou's head was down, and I think Trouba was already committing to I'm not gonna say a hit, I'd say just body contact. And I think that it just happened, hit Kyrou in the head. And I'm with you. I think Shen did the right thing. Trouba's got the reputation too. Kyrou's been playing some ridiculous hockey, and you don't want to see that guy go down. So you got to say, hey, you're gonna rough him up. I'm gonna rough you up. And so I thought Shen reacted perfectly. And yeah, the unsportsmanlike call on that. Come on, what are you doing? I mean, it's a hit that warrants a fight. and then you call it unsportsmanlike on top. It's not sportsmanlike. Like, if anything, if you want to call something on Shen, you got to make an extra call on Trouba then. I think you have to say, well, then that's an illegal check to the head, 2 minutes. Shen, unsportsmanlike for fighting him. If that's the case, I'm not offended. I'm not pissed. But when you call an extra on the Blues on that play, come on. What game are you watching?
Especially if it's Braden Shen in his 1,000th game.
Yeah,
right. That's or in the game where they celebrate his 1,000th game, not his 1,000th game per se, but yeah, it's bad officiating. I think we saw that again
we'll talk about it.
in the Nashville game, and
we got 2 hits to talk about in that one. So, any other notes from the Ducks game from you?
Kind of sad. We don't get to play them again this year.
Yeah, it'd be nice. They have dominated the Ducks this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was nice to see. And hey, you know what? And here's a transition into the next game. We talked about last week how there are certain games this team just has to win at this point if they're going to make the playoffs. I think Pittsburgh fell into that. That's unfortunate, but at least it wasn't a team that they were battling for the playoffs to lose that one. I do think Anaheim, Nashville are 2 games that you just have to win. Not because they're battling for a playoff spot with you, but because they're just weak teams. One of them's in your division. You can't lose these games right now. You need these points. So to see them just demolish Anaheim was great. And then they go into Nashville, win this one 4-1, continue to play some hot hockey. The Blues are 10-2-2 in their past 14 games, and they remain tied in points with the Vancouver Canucks for the second wild card spot. Unfortunately, Vancouver did beat Winnipeg last night, so I was hoping we'd see a loss there, but they do remain tied there for the second wild card spot. Jordan Kyrou, 5 goals, 3 assists in 3 straight wins. He has 8 points, including 5 goals and 3 assists during a 3-game winning streak for the Blues. Jordan Kyrou playing his best hockey right now, and this is exactly what they need from him. I feel like he disappears a lot in big moments, and that has not been him. He has been dominating the ice every time he's on lately.
Yeah. Talked about it a little bit earlier that, Rob Tom's not putting up the numbers, but Kyrou is right now. There was so much hate at Kyrou more than Thomas over the contracts. And I think right now his play's evening out that conversation. Thomas is still contributing, just not at the same clip. Kyrou is just, he's almost back to that point that he was before the All-Star game in Miami, right? When he went there and then he came back and fell off the face of the earth. Yeah. And it's taken him a long time to kind of get back to that level. He's shown flashes of it, but this current stretch that he's in, every time he steps in the ice, and especially playing with a guy like Dylan Holloway, who, is maybe the only guy on this team that can match him speed-wise, it's so exciting to watch. And just every time they're out there, I am just like waiting to see what happens next.
Yeah, I will say I thought his first goal, which you can tell me I'm wrong, UC Saros has just been such a sieve. He just kind of spins around and takes that shot. I mean, it was a smart play, get it on net. I'm all for it. But very weak goal given up by Saros. But again, when you're hot, the puck's just going to find the back of the net for you.
Yeah, no, I kind of liked Bernie's breakdown of this goal, and getting on Saros for how poorly he played it. Right, Saros is one of the smaller goalies by NHL standards, and I'm not gonna talk shit about him for being a small goalie because I'm the same size as him. Right, I'm 5'11", he's 5'11". I'm a backup beer league goalie that's played 2 games this year, so I'm definitely not comparing myself to him, but the way he played this was just awful, right?
Yeah.
He lost himself in the traffic, and it was like he had zero instinct to where the puck was actually going to be, and he tried to look for it, and that half second put him out of position, and Kyrou took advantage of it. And I think talking about instinct, Kyrou, like, we were at the game a couple years ago in Nashville when the Blues put up 7 on Saros, and Kyrou was just pumping them in. And I think he has this comfort level going up against this guy, knowing he's not good when he plays us.
Yeah.
He's had a couple of good games in the last 2 seasons, but overall, like, when I see that we're going to Nashville, or that, and he's going to be in net, I'm like, bring it.
Yep.
I think he's one of the most overhyped goalies. When Rene was there, oh my God, I hated playing Nashville.
Yep.
But Saros is a different story.
And it's funny because, I love UC Saros because he is so bad against the Blues. You mentioned that going to Nashville. I mean, it wasn't just him. Tomas Vokoun was a Blues killer. Back in the day, Mike Dunham used to play some good hockey against the Blues. Goaltending in Nashville has always been so good, but I feel like it's been even better against the St. Louis Blues. Like, they've always played up against the Blues, and Saros is the exception to that rule. So I think even David Riddick, was it last year, had a couple games against us and played really well. And so I love seeing Saros in net. And yeah, I'm with you. I've never understood, and I know he's put up some good numbers, but Jesus, that Nashville defense has always been good too.
Right.
And
I think this year the telling thing is Roman Yossi's not there, right? Yossi's been injured a lot of this season, and to play in front, who's he got? He doesn't have even Ryan McDonough, right? He went back to Tampa. Brady Shea, right, scored that goal. A hell of a shot by Shea. But Brady Shea, and their defense is a shadow of what it was. Ekholm's gone. Their defense just isn't what it used to be.
Yep. So Rob K1 over in the YouTube chat says Nestorenko is a Ukrainian name. We had a lot of Ukrainians in Manitoba. So even if this current NHL Nestorenko is from the Ukraine or Russia, he may at least be distantly related to Eric.
I can only hope.
Yes. Clearly, Bill has lost some sleep over this one.
Yes. It's Youngblood. You want him to be, even though Eric Nestorenko played for the Blackhawks, you want that connection as a casual hockey fan.
Yep. So yeah, you mentioned, Kyrou in his second goal. That was I call that one the NHL 2024 goal. We saw a similar one we always talk about with the 2019 Game 7 against the Bruins, Zach Sanford's goal. Just that weird, like, so easy, just pass it right across, snipe, put it right on the tape, and then right in the net. Just a total NHL 24 goal. Jake Neighbors' goal in this game I really like too, because I just thought Saros played that awful too.
Yeah, I mean, great setup by Falk,
right?
To Neighbors, but I mean, such smooth hands to go forehand, backhand, and tuck.
Yep,
it was the thing of beauty. But again, thank you, UC Saros, for being a goal.
Yeah, I hate. I'll admit. I mean, obviously I love that goal because it was for the Blues, but I hate when I see goalies like overcommit on the slide on a play like that. Like, the dude's left-handed and he's coming in on you. You don't think he's thinking about just going to the backhand? I mean, Saros did not read that well, and I don't know. I even, like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, come on, UC, like, play that better, dude. Make Neighbors work for it. But yeah, I mean, like you said, great pass from Falk and a good read by Neighbors to be able to tuck that one in. Go ahead. Anything
I was
to add?
just going to say I have a little bit of a rant here.
Go ahead.
In that I've been I have gone the route of the FanDuel Sports app as my Blues provider this year because I don't want to pay Spectrum and I can't afford DirecTV. So it's been difficult and I don't pirate stuff that I'm a little too old to do that. So I'm legitimately paying FanDuel Sports, and I got down there a little bit late to start the game last night and thought, I'm just going to start it from the beginning. And the app just keeps glitching and puts me right to live. It's 2-0 already. And instead of fighting it, I just decided I'm going to stick with it. But come on, if I'm paying you $20 a month, put a better product out there.
Yep. I'm with
Very
you.
frustrating.
That's how I feel about Microsoft, but we're not going to talk about that on this show. We'll save that for our Let's Kill Microsoft radio show that we'll do over the summer. Dylan Holloway, 3 assists in this game. He's got 7 points during a 4-game point streak. You mentioned it. Jake Neighbors and Justin Falk each had a goal and an assist. Love Falk's bomb from the point on that first goal, too, on the power play. I feel like he has really stepped up since Parayko's been out. I don't want to say he's played bad this season. I think was last year the year he was hurt a lot and didn't play well. I won't say he played bad this year, but I feel like he's kind of one of those veterans that's just kind of like fallen into the mix, and especially with the excitement around the way Ryan Suter has played and Cam Fowler, who stepped in and played well. It's just kind of like Justin Falk, kind of this forgotten veteran on the team. But
Right.
man, since Parayko's been out, he has been great.
Right. And I think part of it with Falk, too, is that he was outshone by Parayko and what a career year he was having.
Yeah.
But he's stepped up at the right time. I think going back, Ken Morris in the chat kind of touched on this earlier. But the fear with Parayko going out that this team was going to go into tailspin, that's the fear that I had, right, when we had Ken's quote is hoping Colts would have a chance to get to 20. Yeah, that he was going to get there. And, now he's not going to do that unless the Blues are in the second round of the playoffs and we put all the points together or all the goals together.
I think that's how it works.
Yeah, it doesn't. But the fact that he went down and, that Penguins game, I think going back to that, I was so angry because I was like, okay, they're realizing they're without their best defenseman, and this is how it's going to be the rest of the season because this is the Blues. This is what they do. But they haven't, right? They bounced right back. Falk has looked exceptional. And Fowler, I mean, I thought Fowler was terrible when he was in Anaheim. Like a couple years ago, I'm like, this guy is he's awful. He's a turnover machine. He's small. He plays small, but he's not. And since he's been here, like his game has impressed me. I mean, that in last night's game, when second or third period, he got control of the puck and just like outthought the Nashville forecheck and held on to it and beat the press, and it was a thing of beauty to watch. And that's we derided the Blues approach to defense, right? Giving everybody, 6 years and $6.5 million. But now it's kind of looking brilliant, right? You've got such steady veteran presences back there, and they're all playing together.
Yep, they're all playing well. All right, so a couple more notes on this game. We mentioned the hit in the Anaheim game. There's 2 hits here I think we need to at least discuss. So first one is Michael McDonald's hit on Pavel Buchnevich.
Wait.
What did I
Michael
say?
McDonald.
Michael McDonald.
I know Nashville's Music City, but a Santa Claus.
I'm just gonna skate in. I'm gonna hit Pavel Buchnevich in the head.
Santa Claus looking motherfucker hit Pavel Buchnevich. Michael McCarron, former Montreal Canadian, who's what, 6'13" and 270.
I
Oh,
don't think that's a number.
God, he's a massive
He's a monster.
right.
Yep.
He's a massive guy. Like he's the guy I want to fight. Rempe, like get those two guys together in a scrap. That would be a thing.
Yep.
But yeah, it's the kind of hit that former Nashville Predator Jordan Tutu was notorious for, the blind side hit coming around the net. And I think that was the part that really got to me, right? Was where it happened.
Yeah.
And I don't think the head was the principal point of contact, but 10 years ago, this is the hit that we talked about, right?
Sorry, there's a great comment in the chat. Trees. Wow, Michael McKean hit him.
Right. So since
Mike-
this is the hockey podcast, he was trying to bring in the company they couldn't call Walmart into Mystery Alaska. Right?
Yeah. Price Mart.
Price Mart.
Yep.
The
what kind of fuck a bum kind of town is this?
Did you say that, sir?
Oh man, there's some great comments. That might be my. You know what? I'm gonna give it to you. Trees comment of the show. Michael McKean. That's a great comment. He was always really funny in SNL too. But yeah, Michael McCarron. I'm never gonna be able to watch him play now and not be like, oh, I'm skating into the offensive zone.
Too funny.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, so here's what my take on it. I think the 5-minute major and the game misconduct was warranted. I was all for it. I think that's the right call. I don't think there needs to be supplemental discipline.
Oh,
I think
definitely not.
I think it was like, hey, that was a bad call by you. Buchnevich was wobbly. He did not play the rest of the second period. Luckily, came back in the third. Yeah, we going like that hit. I was like, okay, in the moment, I think you have to kick him out. And optics of it was a bad look, and it's because he's a big man, like you said. So I was fine with that, but I do not want to see any supplemental discipline for McCarron on that one.
Yeah, no, I think from the ref's perspective, it's divisional game, team out of the playoffs, and their mammoth goon guy takes out a top line player on the other team. Optically, it's a game misconduct. And I think those. It may have been harsh, but I think it's justifiable. But yeah, do not have George Peros give this guy a call. He doesn't deserve it here.
I just remembered Michael McKean. I was trying to think of because he's got so many good quotes from the movie Clue, which apparently is not rated well. Like a lot of people think that movie sucks. Have you ever seen Clue? That's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's a cult classic, right?
It is, and I love it.
And that's the thing about Michael McKean. He's been in so many cult classic movies, right? Yep. Spinal Tap, right?
Oh, he was great in Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap, Best in Show, all of those movies. He's so damn good.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I gotta say, I think. I don't know. It's hard for me to say which one. I'll just say them both then. Well, I had to stop her from screaming, or I'm going to go home and have sex with my wife. Oh, so funny.
Nice.
So anyway, on this play, Neighbors got 2 minutes for roughing and then a 5-minute major for fighting. McCarron got 5 minutes for fighting and then a 5-minute interference call and a game misconduct. It's a shame Neighbors slipped the way he did. But I do think he would have gotten it handed to him by McCarron because he's such a big dude.
Right. And I think that's another thing, right? I think we got to give credit to McCarron for not killing Jake Neighbors after he slipped, right? He recognized what happened, and it was, to me, it felt like he recognized Neighbors is just doing his job, stepping up. I'm not going to punish this guy. It was a dumb hit. And it could have been a lot worse. If it's Matt Rempe in that situation, I think Jake Neighbors probably is done for the year because he would have been pummeled into the ice.
Yeah.
McCarron's,
he clearly McCarron's about the game.
We'll leave it at that.
Oh, all right. Tyler Tucker's hit on Luke Evangelista in the third period. He ended up getting, and this is what I don't agree with. They purposely called McCarron for 5 minutes at the start so they could review it. Why not do that here with the Tyler Tucker hit? Tucker's hit on Luke Evangelista. They gave him 2 minutes for an illegal check to the head. So you're admitting that he checked him in the head, but you're only calling it for 2 minutes. If you call it for 5, and this, for those who don't know the rule, if you call him for 5 minutes an illegal check to the head, that allows them to review it. And if they say, oh, actually, this shouldn't be 5 minutes, this should be 2 minutes, they can do that, and they rescind the 5-minute penalty. So why not do that to me on every hit to the head? That's what I don't understand. And so they call him for 2 minutes, and I thought this was more egregious than McCarron's hit. Now it was coming from behind. Evangelista was kind of behind him, and Tucker kind of jerked towards him a little bit. I don't think it was malicious. I don't think he tried to hit him with his elbow, but he did. He got him square in the head. So then Cole Smith drops the gloves with him. Both players get 5 minutes for fighting. And then again, we see Smith get 2 minutes for roughing as well. So that canceled out any power play for either team. And I just don't like the way these things are called. Like, to me, call the 5-minute major on Tucker, review it, and then say what the call is. Instead, they went with the 2-minute call, can't review it. I think if you're going to kick out McCarron, I think you should have kicked out Tucker here as well.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that, especially with Nashville being the home team, you've got to make the same call, right? You've got to go to the review and let it happen. And TJ Luxmore is the referee, and I like him for the most part. I think he's one of the better younger referees in the game, but I also think that he's going to make it more about himself. And maybe in this case he was he didn't want to make it look to his bosses like I made the same call on 2 separate plays, but that should have been what happened. I thought it was handled poorly. Go back to the Anaheim game, like giving Shen the extra. I hate it, right? And that, just let the fight happen and let that be it, right? Don't throw the extra minors out there. And I think that's why the people that are like, oh, the NHL hates fighting now, get their fuel from those kinds of calls, right? Giving the extra minor, and they're not calling it instigator, right? It's unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, so and that's the thing, is they're doing that so because if they call the instigator, it has to be a game misconduct as well, or at least a 10-minute misconduct, I believe. And so that's why they're not calling that, because I guess they feel like, oh, it's not egregious enough for that. If you're going to call any penalty at all, that's the only penalty to me you can call that's extra. How are you getting a roughing and a fighting penalty? Like, isn't roughing a form of fighting, or fighting's a form of roughing? Like, to me, it's crazy to call that. Like, it's like calling I don't know. I can't even calling an icing and an offside. Like, it's stupid. That would never happen. And I just feel like that is just a weird call by the NHL. I don't like it either. And I think personally, And I get the ruling of like, well, it has to be a 5-minute major for reviewing. I think if you're calling it an illegal check to the head, whether it's a minor or a major, I think you should be able to review that no matter what. I mean, that's something they have harped on trying to get rid of. So why not make every one of those calls reviewable?
Yeah.
Just the way I see it.
Yeah, I think the only explanation is like they don't want to make it seem like they're slowing down the game with excessive reviews. But
I appreciate that, but if you're gonna have reviews, you should do it right.
Right. That I agree with that 100%.
So again, the Blues absolutely killing it lately. So next up for them, biggest game of the year. I'm going to call it right now, at least to this point. That might change, but I think at this point we can officially call this the biggest game of the year. Thursday, March 20th, tomorrow night, they play the Vancouver Canucks. That is an early start, folks, so do not forget that. It's a 6:30 start. This kicks off a 4-game homestand for the St. Louis Blues. They will then play Saturday, March 22nd at Bill's favorite time for a hockey game, 2 p.m. And then Sunday, they followed up with Bill's second favorite hockey time, March 23rd. They play the Predators at home at 5 p.m.
At least there's more than 24 hours between games, right? That's the thing that kills the players, right?
Yep, I agree.
But hey, next Tuesday when Montreal's in town, it's a 7 p.m. start. Thank God for 7 o'clock Tuesday games.
Yep, 7 o'clock Tuesday, March 25th, Montreal, as you said. Thursday, they go back to Nashville. They will play there again at 7 p.m. So again, you look at these teams. Montreal is clearly the strongest after tomorrow night's clearly.
Who to thunk it?
Yeah, right. So Montreal is going to give you trouble, but and we said it last week. The Blues have to win these games against the Nashvilles and Chicagos of the world. 3 of their next 5 games are against Chicago or Nashville. You have to win those. I think tomorrow night you have to get 2 points, and you have to do it in regulation. You can't let Vancouver get a point tomorrow night. I got a sneeze coming. So, Bill, your thoughts on how tomorrow night is going to go?
As obvious as your point is about not giving the Canucks anything tomorrow night point wise, I mean that forget the previous losses. The shit showings against San Jose. That's going to be the game that we're stewing about when we do a season recap if we miss the playoffs. Right. Yep. If we gave Vancouver 1 point, obviously right now they're the team we're chasing. They still have games in hand on us. So it's not we don't control everything, but this is the game that we control when we play them. So you have to get all the points tomorrow night. Can't be another, fail to show up game like Pittsburgh. But I think the Blues are vibing in the right way, and I expect big things. And I will be tuned in tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. on ESPN. So don't forget that. It's ESPN. Yep, it's not a local broadcast tomorrow night.
Yep, and that sneeze is fucking with me. It is gone, so that means it's going to hit me in the middle of talking. So we will see.
The middle of the outro.
Yes, that will definitely happen. So yeah, again, tomorrow night, big game. I gotta expect Jordan Binnington's in net. This is going to be a hell of a game. If you're going to the game tomorrow night, be ready for a party. This is going to be a playoff-like atmosphere. It's going to be fun. I would love if we saw some kind of fight early on to really jazz the teams up. And I will say, even if the Blues lose, I do think they still have a good chance of getting in the playoffs. They can't get trounced. If this is a 6-1 Vancouver win, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm done. Sorry, you're not going to come back from that. But if it's a close game and Vancouver pulls out, I think there's still a good chance the Blues could pick up some wins here against some weak teams, but I do think you need to make a statement here. This is a statement game for the Blues. Beat Vancouver, move ahead of them into sole possession of the second wild card spot, and then win all your games against Chicago and Nashville. And by this time next week, we might be like, holy shit, the Blues have a 3-4 point lead in the playoff race.
Yeah, I mean, I that's going to be a little bit difficult to get to as far as the spread in the playoff race, but I think you have to do something to demoralize them and to put the pressure on them, right? Maybe demoralize isn't the right word, but put the pressure on them, right? Win that game and then make those games in hand all that more important for them, and see how they cope.
Yep.
I will say, they had a great game last night and lit up Connor Hellebuck. Thank you, because Patrick Yoder has Connor Hellebuck, and I have Elias Pettersson, and that went pretty well for me last night. So
suck it, Patrick Yoder.
Suck it, fan.
And thanks for listening to the show.
Yeah.
So this is a big game, and I am jazzed up for this game. In fact, I have a hockey game myself, and I'm like, I might, and if any of my teammates are listening, I apologize. I might be skipping because I don't want to miss this game. This is it's gonna be a hell of a matchup. And again, if the Blues rout, that'd be fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But man, I would love like a 2-1 close game in the third period to where I can't even sit in my seat. I would love that. Those are the most exciting games.
Yeah, I am going to do everything in my power to be sitting in front of the big TV tomorrow night when this game starts. Not like tonight.
Ken Morris adds, especially since Canucks have a game in hand on the Blues. Yeah, that is still the case, and obviously that'll be the case after the game tomorrow night. But I think, again, making the statement of we're taking this playoff spot tonight, I think that would be a huge moment for the Blues, and very, as you said, and I agree with you, actually, demoralizing is the right word. I think that would demoralize Vancouver pretty good walking out of that game. It also might light a fire under their ass, but still, the Blues, I think, need to try and do their best to control their own destiny, and a win tomorrow night would definitely do that. Anything to add before we close up the show, Mr. Day?
No. I got nothing left other than hope.
Good. I like hope. Hope's good. Well, we want to thank our amazing sponsors, StrikeWithMike.com and RockinThatIDLife.com. That'll wrap up episode 25 of season 14 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We'll talk to you next week. For Bill Day and Kurt Price, I hope he's out of jail by now. I'm Jeff Ponder, and this... What? Huh?
If we wait one more minute, his plane touches down in St. Louis, or he gets to the gate. I guess that's how it works, right? 11:45. Your arrival time is when you get to the gate. So
I love how you had to interrupt me for that.
I have to. He's so close.
Yeah, he is traveling. Is the actual? They're taking him from one prison to the next. Real quick, we'll go ahead and mention this since he got it in. Brandon DeRouse, Severance Season 2 finale tomorrow night, so it could be an epic night with a win. Yeah, that's true. I have not watched Season 2 yet, but Season 1 was phenomenal, so I need to catch up.
I haven't watched any of it, so I plan to maybe this summer.
I'll just say this. With your job, I think you would really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yep.
So I'll make it a priority.
So for Bill Day and Kurt Price, I'm Jeff Ponder, and this was Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's not lose. Let's go Blues.
Jeff Ponder, everyone, and his Michael McDonald impression. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
To the bartender. Hudson television production.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
I found prints! No, fingerprints. I don't think so.